Aaron pushed the door of his small stone house open with his shoulder, still carrying the weak Sarati woman in both arms. The warm air inside met them like a soft blanket. It smelled of old cooking oil and Myra's chalk drawings. "Put her here, Dad," Mira said, guiding him toward the long bench near the wall. Aaron lowered the woman carefully. The moment her legs touched the cushion, they trembled hard. She gasped, gripping the edge of the bench with shaking fingers. Her voice cracked. "Everything hurts." "That means your body is waking up," Aaron said gently. "Hurting is normal right now." Mira rushed to fetch a cup of water. She held it out with both hands. The woman stared at it for a moment, like she wasn't sure she deserved it. Then she took a slow sip. Her throat moved painfully. "What's your name?" Mira asked. The woman hesitated, then whispered, "Sarah." Mira smiled. "I'm Mira, and that's my dad. He's stubborn. He doesn't leave people behind." Sarah blinked, confused. "Why did he take me?" "You don't know me." Aaron settled on a small stool across from her. He rolled up his sleeves, showing old scars, not violent ones, but the kind made by years of saving others. "You were in the ground," he said. That was enough. Sarah's eyes lowered. Shame, confusion, and something like disbelief flickered across her face. The silence in the room grew heavy until Mira broke it. "Dad, can we give her your spare shirt? Her wrap is all dusty and broken." Aaron nodded. "In the trunk. Second shelf." Mira ran off. Aaron picked up a cloth and dipped it into warm water. He wrung it out slowly. "I'm going to clean the dirt from your face and neck," he said. "Only if you're okay with it." Sarah stiffened, not from fear of pain, but from years of being treated as an object. She searched his face carefully. There was no hunger, no disgust, only tired kindness. She nodded once. He held her chin gently and wiped the dust from her jawline. Her skin twitched from cold and nerves. He didn't rush. He didn't stare at the exposed parts of her wrap. "You're careful," she whispered. "I've seen hurt people before," Aaron said softly. "Careless hands make it worse." Mira returned with a slate blue shirt, soft from many washes. "Here," she said proudly. "This one is warm." Sarah took it slowly, almost reverently, fingers brushing the fabric like she couldn't believe she was allowed to have something clean. Aaron pointed toward the short hallway. "The room at the end. You can change there. The walls are steady. Use them if your legs shake." Sarah tried to stand. Her legs buckled immediately. Aaron caught her elbow but didn't lift her. "Use your strength first," he said. "I'll help only if you need it." She nodded. Mira moved to her other side, small but steady. Together, they helped her take small steps down the hallway. Each step was slow, painful, but hers. When Sarah was behind the door, Mira whispered to her father. She was shaking so much, the soil must have crushed her for hours. Aaron didn't answer. He stared at his scraped knuckles, then at the front door, as if expecting elders to knock at any moment. Minutes later, Sarah stepped out wearing the loose shirt. It fell to mid-thigh and covered the harsh wrap. Her red hair was still tangled, her face pale, but she looked more human, more alive. Mira smiled wide. "You look warm." Sarah touched the shirt. "It is comfortable." Aaron nodded once. "Good." He stirred a pot on the stove, root slices, and their last bit of meat. Myra's eyes lit up. "You're using the special piece?" Aaron shrugged. "Some days deserve it." Sarah watched them, confused. "Why do this for me? You could lose everything." Aaron met her eyes, steady and calm. "I'd lose more by walking away." Her breath shook. Not from pain this time, something deeper. They sat around the table. Sarah ate slowly, tasting real food after days of fear. Mira talked about school. Aaron listened quietly, rubbing his tired hands. For the first time since the burial, Sarah felt her heart slow. Just a little. When dinner ended, she whispered, "I don't know what tomorrow will be." Aaron replied simply, "Tomorrow starts with you standing." That's enough. And in the small home lit by a single warm lamp, Sarah felt something unfamiliar. The beginning of safety. The plaza froze when Aaron stepped into the quiet ring. Every pair of eyes, Sarati and human, turned toward him. Dust shifted under his boots. The buried woman's breath hitched when she realized he wasn't just looking. He was coming for her. Mira stood at the edge, fists tight, heart pounding. "Dad, please be careful." Aaron knelt in front of the woman. Up close, she looked worse than he expected. Her lips were dry. Her skin was scraped from hours of pressure. Her pupils were thin vertical slits, common for her kind, but they narrowed more when she was scared. "Can you breathe?" he asked. She swallowed with effort. "Barely." "We'll fix that," he said. A Sarati elder stepped forward. His cream mantle dragged across the stone. "Human," he said sharply. "Leave the soil. This is a sacred correction." Aaron didn't look up. No correction should choke someone. Whispers spread through the crowd. "Is he serious? He'll lose his job. Humans never know their place." Aaron pushed his fingers into the packed dirt. It was hard as rock. Someone had tamped it down with cruel care. The woman gasped as he dug. "Sorry," he muttered. "It'll hurt before it gets better." She nodded weakly. "Do it." He broke the first layer of soil. Then another. Then another. His knuckles scraped. Blood beaded on his skin. He didn't stop. One Sarati man leaned forward angrily. "You insult our customs." Aaron answered without pausing. "Then your customs can file a complaint with my union." A human worker snorted in surprise. The elders didn't look amused. Mira stepped closer to the ring. "Dad?" she whispered. Her head shaking. "She can't hold it up." Aaron shifted to support the woman's neck with one hand while digging with the other. "How long were you here?" he asked. "Since morning," she whispered. Her eyelids fluttered. "They said I am defective." Myra's face twisted. "That's cruel." Aaron grunted as he dug deeper along the woman's ribs. The soil cracked a little. "Tell me your name," he said. The woman hesitated, as if the name belonged to someone she wasn't allowed to be anymore. "Sarah?" Aaron nodded. "Sarah. Good. Stay awake. I need you with me." She blinked slowly. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're still breathing." At last, he loosened enough soil to free her chest. She took a sharp, painful breath, then another and another. Tears gathered in her eyes, not from sadness, but from sudden air. Aaron moved lower, digging around her hips. The deeper soil was cold, damp, heavy. Sarah winced loudly. Mira flinched at the sound. "Dad, I know," Aaron said. "She's nearly out." He braced his feet, slid one arm behind her back, and wrapped the other around her waist. "On three," he said softly. "1, 2, 3. He pulled hard. The soil resisted for a moment, then broke with a harsh, sucking sound. Sarah screamed as her legs tore free from the dirt. Her body jerked into his arms. Dust exploded around them. Her legs shook violently from returning blood flow. She could barely move them. Aaron lifted her fully, holding her like someone fragile but alive. The crowd stepped back without being told. Even the elders didn't move to stop him. Mira rushed to Sarah's side and gently took her hand. Sarah squeezed weakly, confused by the kindness. Aaron climbed out of the ring. His arms burned. His breaths came heavy, but he kept Sarah held tight. Someone shouted behind them. "If you take her, she'll bring trouble." Mira spun around, angry tears in her eyes. "She'll be alive," she snapped. "That's what matters." Aaron said nothing to the crowd. He didn't need to. He shifted Sarah in his arms, nodded to Mira, and walked out of the plaza. No one dared follow. Wind swept across the terraces, carrying dust off Sarah's hair as they made their slow way home. For the first time since morning, she whispered a word not shaped by fear. "Thank you." Aaron pushed the door open with his shoulder, careful not to jostle the woman in his arms. The warm air inside the small stone house wrapped around them. It smelled like cooked roots, dusty books, and Myra's crayons. "Dad, put her there," Mira said, already clearing the long bench near the wall. Aaron set the woman, Sarah, down gently. The moment her legs touched the cushion, they shook hard. She sucked in a sharp breath. "It feels like knives," she whispered. "That's good," Aaron said softly. "Means your nerves are waking up." Mira hurried to the water jug. She filled a cup with both hands and held it carefully to Sarah. Sarah stared at the drink as if unsure she was allowed to accept anything from anyone. Her fingers were trembling when she finally took the cup. She drank slowly. The water made her cough once, then breathe deeper. Mira sat beside her. "You're safe now," she said, voice small but firm. Sarah blinked at her. "Why are you helping me?" Mira frowned. "Because people should help people. That's it." Aaron moved closer, pulling a small stool in front of Sarah. He dipped a cloth into warm water, wrung it out, and spoke gently. "I'm going to clean the dirt from your face and neck. Only if you agree." Sarah's eyes widened. Her whole body went stiff, expecting roughness, expecting commands, not a question. Then she nodded once. Aaron wiped the dust from her skin. Slow, careful. Her breath trembled at the first touch, but not from fear, more from surprise. Most people don't treat me like I matter, she whispered. You're not most people, Mira said quickly. So you get better treatment. Sarah almost laughed. Almost. Aaron continued cleaning her jawline, avoiding the torn edges of the emerald wrap. He didn't stare at the exposed skin. That, more than the warm cloth, seemed to calm her. He handed her the cup again. Drink more. Your voice sounds like sand. She obeyed. Mira tugged open a wooden chest near the wall and pulled out an oversized slate blue shirt. This one is soft, she said proudly. Dad let me pick it. You can use it so you don't freeze. Sarah touched the fabric, stunned at the simple kindness. Aaron pointed to the hall. There's a small room at the end. Use the wall if your legs shake. I'll help if you call. Sarah tried to stand. Her knees buckled instantly. She gasped, but she didn't fall. Both Aaron and Mira caught her arms at the same time. I can walk, Sarah insisted, though her voice trembled. Mira nodded. We'll just make sure you don't faceplant. Slowly, very slowly, they helped her reach the room. Each step was a battle, her legs fighting against numbness she couldn't hide. When the door closed behind her, Aaron let out a long, shaky breath. His hands were scraped. His arms burned. He ignored all of it. Mira hugged him around the waist. Dad, she looked so scared. I know, he said quietly. But she's here now. Sarah returned a few minutes later wearing the oversized shirt. It reached almost to her knees. Her hair, though tangled, framed her face in a softer way. She looked less like a prisoner, more like someone trying to believe she hadn't imagined this shelter. The moment Mira saw her, she smiled. You look warm. Sarah touched the sleeve gently. I haven't worn anything soft in months. Aaron stepped toward the stove. Sit. I'll make food. Mira gasped. The good food. He nodded. Yes. Today deserves it. Sarah sat carefully at the low table. She watched Mira draw shapes on a scrap of paper while Aaron heated the last strip of meat and sliced root vegetables. The house was small. The lights were dim. The chairs didn't match. But everything inside felt real. Aaron set a warm plate in front of her. Sarah stared at it. You're giving me your good food? Yes, Aaron said simply. You need strength. She took the first bite with shaky fingers. The meat was salty, warm, rich. Tears pricked her eyes before she could stop them. Nobody has fed me in months, she whispered. Mira leaned on her shoulder. Well, someone should have. Aaron rested his worn hands on the table. Tonight, he said gently, you rest. Tomorrow, we start helping you walk again. Sarah looked at the small home, at the warm lamp, at Myra's soft breathing, and at Aaron's steady eyes. And for the first time since she was buried, she whispered something she never thought she'd say. I want tomorrow to come. Cold morning light seeped into the little stone house when Sarah opened her eyes. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she noticed the soft blanket around her legs, Myra's drawings on the wall, and the smell of warm grain cooking. This wasn't the ring. It wasn't a punishment chamber. It wasn't a lonely barracks room. It was a home. Aaron moved quietly near the stove, stirring a pot. His sleeves were rolled up, showing old scars across his arms. He glanced at her. You're awake. Good. Your legs will hate you today. Sarah swung her feet down. Pain shot up both calves. She winced. I believe you, she muttered. Mira rushed out of her room with wild morning hair. You're standing. That means you survived the night. Sarah smiled a little. Barely. Aaron handed her a warm bowl of porridge. Eat first. Then we stretch. If we don't, you'll walk like a broken robot. Mira snorted. Dad walks like that sometimes. Aaron sighed. Thank you, Mira. After breakfast, they stepped onto the small balcony. The wind was sharp and cold. Sarah shivered in her borrowed shirt, clutching the railing. Sit, Aaron said, patting the bench. She sat slowly. The moment he touched her calf to check the muscle, she gasped and almost jerked away. Too much, he asked. No, she said through gritted teeth. Keep going. He pressed gently, feeling the tense knots that buried soil had created. Her breath came in shaky bursts. Mira sat beside her, braiding vines into loops. You're doing great, she said. Better than Dad when he tries to touch his toes. I heard that, Aaron muttered. Sarah's lips twitched. Your daughter, she is very honest. She gets it from her mother, Aaron answered quietly. Sarah softened. You miss her. Every day. The wind blew through the balcony, carrying the faint smell of spices from the food stalls below. Aaron shifted to Sarah's other leg. This part will burn, he warned. It already burns. This will burn more. He pushed gently. Sarah hissed, grabbing the bench. Tears filled her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. Mira reached out and placed her small hand on Sarah's shoulder. You're strong, she said. The elders don't get to decide that. Something inside Sarah cracked, something old and brittle. She swallowed hard. Thank you, Mira. When they were done, Sarah stood slowly, using the railing for support. Her legs trembled, but they held. Aaron nodded. Good. Better than yesterday. That's not saying much, she muttered. Still better, he said. After the stretches, they decided to walk to the market. Sarah hesitated at the door. They'll stare at me, she whispered. They remember the ring. Let them stare, Aaron said. You're standing. That's what matters. Mira grabbed Sarah's hand. And we're with you. People stare at Dad all the time because he looks like a sad mountain. Mira, it's true. Despite her nerves, Sarah laughed softly. They stepped outside together. The towers hummed above them. White petals drifted across the stone steps. People turned. Some whispered. Sarah's pulse raced. But Aaron walked beside her with calm certainty. Mira held her hand like she was family. Halfway down the path, Sarah whispered, My legs are shaking. That means they're working, Aaron said. They reached the lower terrace. Stalls were opening. Steam drifted from hot plates. Voices echoed off stone walls. Sarah took a slow breath. She was here. She was moving. She wasn't buried anymore. Mira squeezed her hand. See? Not so scary. Sarah looked at her, then at Aaron, then at the bustling market. For the first time in a very long time, she realized something. She wasn't walking because someone commanded her. She was walking because she wanted to. Days passed. Not many, but enough for Sarah to feel the world shift under her feet. Every morning began the same way. Aaron cooking something warm, Mira yawning loudly, and Sarah sitting on the bench rubbing the soreness from her legs before facing another set of stretches. Her body still hurt, but the pain was different now. It wasn't punishment. It was progress. One morning, after a long stretch routine on the balcony, Sarah stood straighter than she had since the burial. Her legs trembled less. Her balance returned in small pieces. You're getting stronger, Aaron said. Sarah let out a quiet breath. I didn't think I would be. You weren't broken, Mira added. Just buried. That sentence hit Sarah harder than the cold wind. Inside the house, life settled into a gentle rhythm. Sarah learned to help in small ways, washing dishes, folding blankets, slicing vegetables with slow, steady hands. Aaron repaired tram parts on the table. Mira filled the house with chatter, stories from school, and soft humming as she drew pictures of all three of them. Sometimes the plates were mismatched. Sometimes the food was simple. Sometimes the nights were too quiet. But the quiet wasn't lonely anymore. Sarah found herself lingering in the kitchen doorway, watching Aaron fix a loose hinge or wipe grease from his hands. She found herself smiling at Myra's jokes before she could stop herself. She found herself sleeping deeper at night, no longer waking at every sound. The house was small, but it felt gentle. One afternoon, Mira tugged Sarah toward a small box of vine bracelets she'd made. These are for people I like, Mira said proudly. Not everyone gets one. You get two. Sarah blinked, confused. Two. One for being strong, one for being you. Sarah looked down at her hands. No badge, no title, no number. But a little girl gave her something without expecting anything back. I don't know how to repay this, Sarah whispered. You don't have to, Mira said. We don't keep score here. Sarah swallowed hard. A strange warmth bloomed in her chest. Later that evening, when Mira was drawing on the rug, Sarah approached Aaron quietly. You risked yourself for me, she said softly. The elders may punish you. Your contract might be cut. Aaron didn't look surprised. I've thought about that. And you're still calm? He wiped his hands on a cloth. I made the choice already. I'd rather lose a job than lose myself. Sarah sat across from him. You keep doing things for me. I don't understand why. Aaron leaned back slightly. He wasn't a man of big speeches. You're here, he said simply. That's reason enough. Sarah looked away, breath trembling. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not with expectation. Not with pity. Just truth. When Mira went to bed, Aaron and Sarah stayed on the balcony. The sunset painted the terraces in gold and pale orange. Sarah stood beside him, arms crossed against the cold. I never imagined a life like this, she admitted. A quiet one, he asked. A life where someone wants me here. Aaron glanced at her, the fading light reflecting in his eyes. "You can stay," he said softly. "Not because you have nowhere else to go, but because it's your choice." Sarah's breath caught. Her heart felt unfamiliar, light and heavy at the same time. "I think I want to stay," she said. She didn't say it loudly. She didn't need to. Aaron nodded once. "Then we build from there." Sarah looked out over the vast terraces, the wind towers spinning slowly, the lamps glowing in the distance. She was alive. She was healing. She was wanted. And for the first time in her life, the future didn't feel like a punishment. It felt like something she could walk into. With them. Sarah woke before sunrise the next day. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands pressed to her stomach, breathing slowly. Something inside felt different. Not painful, not sharp, just a strange flutter. A small turn deep within her body. She told herself it was nerves, or recovery, or fear. But the feeling kept coming back. When she walked into the kitchen, Aaron looked up immediately. "You're pale," he said. "Sit. Talk to me." She hesitated. Maybe I'm imagining things." Aaron stepped closer. "Sarah, look at me. Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No. Just something feels wrong." "Or right. I don't know." Before she could explain, Mira rushed out, hair messy as always. "Dad. Sarah, can we go to the big terrace today? The one with the healer stalls? They give free dried fruit sometimes." Sarah froze. "The healer terrace." Aaron caught the look on her face and nodded once. "Good idea, Mira. We're going." The walk was slow. Sarah's legs held steady, but the strange sensation in her stomach grew stronger with every step. At the healer's door, a small stone building marked with a blue strip of cloth, Sarah hesitated. "I'm afraid," she whispered. Aaron placed his hand on her back. "You don't have to go alone." Inside, the healer, a calm, middle-aged Sarah woman, examined Sarah with gentle hands and a focused expression. She checked her pulse, her breaths, and finally pressed lightly along Sarah's stomach. Sarah flinched at the warm, swirling sensation inside. The healer pulled back slightly, her eyes softening. "You've been under great stress," she said. "That alone can confuse the body. But this is not confusion." Sarah's heart raced. Her palms went cold. The healer placed her hand lightly over Sarah's again. "You are carrying new life," she said quietly. Sarah's mouth fell open. For a moment, sound disappeared. Everything felt distant, like she was underwater. I can't be," she whispered. "The elders said I was unfit. They said my body was wrong." "They misread you," the healer said. "Stress shifts the patterns. Pain shifts them. Even fear. But your body is healthy, strong. And now you carry a future they never believed you deserved." Sarah covered her trembling mouth. Tears blurred her vision. Aaron stepped forward immediately. "Sarah," he said softly. She turned to him, shaking. "It's real," she whispered. "Aaron, it's real." He wrapped an arm around her waist, steady and warm. Mira stared at them both, wide-eyed. "Does this mean," Mira asked carefully, "I'm going to be a big sister?" A shaky laugh broke from Sarah's throat. "Yes," she said, voice cracking. "Yes, Mira, you are." Mira jumped, cheering loud enough to startle the healer. When they stepped outside, the wind hit them gently, carrying the smell of warm stone and fresh blossoms. Sarah's tears dried on her cheeks. Her hand stayed pressed to her stomach. Aaron didn't rush her. He didn't speak big words. He just walked beside her, close enough that his arm brushed hers, ready to catch her if she stumbled. Halfway along the path, Sarah slowed. "Aaron," she whispered, "my life was supposed to end in that ring." He stopped and turned fully toward her. "It didn't," he said. "Because you fought. Because you lived. Because you deserved more than they ever gave you." Sarah looked up at him, eyes shining. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I know," he said. "But you're not alone." She inhaled sharply, overwhelmed by everything. Fear, relief, disbelief, hope. "Aaron," she whispered, "what do we do now?" He reached for her hand. "We protect this life," he said. "Yours, and the one growing inside you." Sarah looked down at their joined hands. And for the first time since she was buried, something inside her settled. A beginning. A promise. A future she never expected to have. Together, they started the walk back home. A family forming one step at a time. Sarah didn't rush home. She walked slowly along the high terrace path, one hand resting on her stomach as if protecting something fragile and new. The wind brushed past her, lifting strands of her red hair, But for the first time, she did not feel small in the world. Mira hopped beside her, full of excitement and questions. Do babies kick on day one? Will it have purple skin? Can I teach it how to braid vines? Sarah laughed, quiet, shaking real. I don't know, Mira. We'll learn together. Aaron stayed close on her other side. He didn't hover. He didn't command. He simply walked with her, like someone who understood the weight of change better than anyone. When they reached the plaza, the same place where she had been buried, Sarah slowed. Her breath caught in her throat. The quiet ring sat in the center, smooth soil, perfect circle. Shadows from the wind towers fell across it like long, dark fingers. People noticed her. Heads turned. Voices whispered. There she is. The unfit one. How is she walking? Sarah's pulse hammered. Her legs trembled, not from pain, but from memory. Aaron stepped in front of her and held out his hand. You don't have to cross it, he said gently. She looked at the ring. She remembered the soil pressing her ribs. The fear, the humiliation, the cold. Then she looked down at her stomach, at the life growing inside her. A life the elders claimed she would never have. No, she whispered. I need to cross. She took Aaron's hand. Mira grabbed the other. And together, they stepped into the plaza. People watched, waiting for her to break or turn away. She didn't. She walked straight across the quiet ring, the place where she was meant to be erased, and stood tall in the sunlight. A pair of elders in cream robes approached, stiff and cold-eyed. Sarah, woman, one said, you should not be out in public. Sarah lifted her chin. Her voice was steady and clear. I am not yours to hide. The elder's lips tightened. Your markers said you were unfit. Sarah placed a hand on her stomach. They were wrong. A ripple of shock moved through the watching crowd. You defy the records? The elder snapped. Aaron stepped beside her, jaw tight with controlled anger. She defies your cruelty, he said, and your ignorance. Mira folded her arms like a tiny, furious guard dog. She's not unfit. She's having a baby. Your charts are broken. Gasps echoed. People leaned in. The elders froze. They couldn't argue without exposing their failure. Their system. Their pride. Sarah looked at them, not with hate, but with calm certainty. You buried me, she said softly. But I grew anyway. And the elders, the ones who once decided her worth, had no answer. On the walk home, Sarah felt light. Not free, not yet, but unburied. The house welcomed her with warm air and soft shadows. Aaron helped her sit. Mira brought her a cushion. Everything felt real. Everything felt alive. As the lamps outside flickered on, Sarah leaned back against Aaron's shoulder. His arm wrapped gently around her. Mira lay curled by Sarah's legs, already half asleep. What now? Sarah whispered. Aaron rested his chin lightly on her hair. Now, he said, we make a life they can't take from you. Sarah closed her eyes. She could almost feel the tiny pulse inside her. Small, faint, but full of promise. A child, a family, a future. Buried once, risen now, and no elder, no system, no circle of cruel soil would ever silence her again. Because she had found something stronger than fear. She had found a place to belong, and people who chose her.